Comic Hunter, congrats! You are the winner of the Spider-Gwen slab. Make sure to check out my other video that's currently going on for my current giveaway. There should be a little picture in the thumbnail of the slab, and enjoy this show.
Comically Correct Comics.
Welcome to Comically Correct Comics, everyone. I'm Bri. Thank you so much for stopping by. Woo! It's been a crazy couple days. We had a live sale over on my Instagram page. If you're not following me over on Instagram, you might want to stop by, check it out. I'm at Comically Correct Comics, comically_correct_comics. And we had a live sale on Saturday, and it was a lot of fun. Thank you so much to everyone for stopping by. We went for like 4.5 hours just slanging that expensive paper. As long as people were buying, we just apparently just kept selling. So we have some remnants of that sale up behind me. If you see anything you like, don't be afraid to hit me up over on Instagram, or you can email me at comicallycorrectcomics@gmail.com. And yeah, if you missed this live sale, try to catch the next one. They're just going to get bigger. They're just going to get better. They're just going to get more organized and more fun. So I appreciate all of you for stopping by. But on this channel, if this is your first time here, what we do is comic book investment and speculation, because speculation can be a scary thing, whether it's stocks or comic books. And one of the things that helps take some of the anxiety and mystery out of speculation is identifying trends. And so today's video, we're going to look at 3 comic books that completely flopped in 2020 and see if we can extrapolate any trends out of that so we can see what to avoid when this happens again, because it will happen again and it will happen often. Make sure to hit subscribe, because I'm also going to be posting some videos about what trends to seek and look for that are common to really successful books. So I'm going to be posting some videos around all of this, what to avoid, what to look for, to help take some of the anxiety and mystery out of comic book speculation. So before we jump into these 3 books, I want to mention that they are still collectible books. I'm a big fan of the story arc. I'm a big fan of the cover. I'm a big fan of the artwork of these different books. So if you're a fan of the stories and the art, there's no reason why you can't go and pick one up as well. I just don't think you should do it for the speculative value, at least not for the first 2 on the list. So let's jump into it. Number 1 on the list, we have Venom 26. And as almost everyone knows, first of all, spoiler alert, if you haven't read Venom 26 or you haven't read the Venom Beyond story arc, we are going to discuss all of the details of all of the books in this video. I just want to give a spoiler alert. I know that many of us are way past that story arc, but I never want to make assumptions and just assume that everyone's read it. So we are going to discuss the details. And in Venom 26, we have the first appearance of Virus on the scene. Well, the first distributed appearance. The intended first appearance was the Free Comic Book Day Spider-Man and Venom #1, but due to COVID-19 shipping delays, the Venom 26 hit the racks first. Now, that doesn't really matter so much for the hype and everything around this book, because most people didn't really even know that fact until after. And when it all went down, nobody knew how CGC was going to recognize this little thing, because it's unprecedented. We'd never seen something delayed in shipping before, especially with like a first appearance. So when the hype came, it really had nothing to do with the shipping problems. The incredible success of Donny Cates, coupled with the incredible success of the cover artist Tyler Kirkham, all of these amazing covers, the hype for the new character, people went nuts. And the exclusive covers were flying off the shelf for full price. Out the gate, cover A was selling for like $15, well over cover price. Then we had subsequent prints galore and exclusive covers to go with each one of those, and they all sold out. The hype was real, and I got caught up in it too. I went hard. I bought a bunch of stuff. I got totally caught up. The hype was real. The comic book distributors got us collectors hook, line, and sinker. at least a lot of us. I know I wasn't alone in this. I mean, this was a huge thing in the community. So this brings us to the second book on the list, which is Venom 27. Now, Venom 27 is the first appearance of Codex. It's right on the heels of 26, and everyone is wondering, could this series be getting even hotter? Could this issue be even bigger than the last? And the mystery of who Virus was from Venom 26 still remains. And all of the success of Venom 27, this new mystery character Codex, really just drove the price up of 26. And we had much of the same thing with Venom 27. We had exclusive prints galore. We had subsequent prints galore. We had even in retailer incentives for the subsequent prints, which doesn't happen all that often. It's becoming more common now, but it's definitely doesn't happen all the time. And so all of this success of 27 really just drives up the success of 26, and we're just still on this hot streak. People are still going crazy, and then bam, Venom 28 hits, and it just flatlines. In Venom 28, the stories are developed and the characters are revealed. We find out that that Virus from Venom 26 is actually Mac Gargan, the Scorpion. And then we find out that Codex is really Dylan in an alternate reality. And so we find out that these two books really weren't the first appearances of either character. Virus, it was the first appearance of these characters, but they were other characters. So the money books for them are going to be their first appearances. And it's still going to be the first appearance of Scorpion, Mac Gargan. It's still going to be the first appearance of Dylan. And not Codex. So it flatlined. And when I say that prices tanked, I mean they tanked. And so as the story arc continues, the characters of Virus and Codex are wrapped up with a nice little bow, and everyone just moves on. I mean, it just is over. It's the end of the story for those characters. Now, could we see these characters in the future? Of course. Could we see them show up down the line and develop these characters further? Absolutely. The storytellers 30 years from now could completely retcon the characters. But even if they do develop them as characters, still the money book and the speculation would be on the first appearance of the real characters, Dylan and Mac Gargan. So now let's talk about the third book on the list, and then let's see if we can identify some trends and just hold that in the back of our minds as we move forward. And the third book on the list is Thor number 5 of the latest run. Now, Thor number 5 is the first full appearance of the Black Winter, and in the story, Thor literally defeats the Black Winter super easily, and he vanishes into thin air. Now, a lot of people think that this wasn't the end for the Black Winter, and it very well could not be. In fact, Donny Cates even tweeted saying that it's not the end of the Black Winter, and why would it be? The story was so well done. It was so well received. It was such an epic villain that I think, he could easily end up on the big screen someday. So this book, Thor 5, is different from Venom 26 and Venom 27 in the sense that there's a lot better chance for there to be a future for this book, but it was similar to those two books in the sense that the hype was crazy. People went nuts. Subsequent prints, exclusive variants, everything selling out the gate. Okay, so it was similar to it in that sense. So let's take a look at a graph of the sale prices of Thor number 5 in a CGC 9.8 over time. Now, this is for the first print, but keep in mind that all the subsequent prints follow the same trends. So as you can see, the first books that came back from CGC fast-tracked were fetching about $400. This is an important thing to keep in mind, is that when these hot books come out, savvy collectors and speculators, send them into CGC to be fast-tracked and get them back as fast as possible to hit eBay. When these come back, and it's is always the case, people will always do this. If there's a hot book, they will always fast-track them to CGC, and we will always see them come back and hit the eBays about a month or a month and a half after. This is the time in the market where there are very few slabs available and the demand is at its highest in most cases. So it makes sense that the price is driven so high. It's simple supply and demand. It's important to understand supply and demand if you're going to do any kind of speculating or collecting. Then if you look at the graph, you can see the dip. And this is right after the next issue in the series. When Thor defeated Black Winter, the price plummets. So it was sitting up at about $400 out the gate when those first books came back from CGC, and then it plummets to $125 when the Black Winter is defeated, with a low of $65. And then it stays around the 100, 120 mark. And then you see another small spike when Donny Cates made his tweet about the character, and now it's back down again. Like I said, now might be a good time to pick up Thor #5 if you believe in the Black Winter. But that trend, what we saw in the prices on there, is very common to these hot new titles that come out. And it's important to be aware of how this goes so you don't get caught up in FOMO and end up spending $400 for something that has an FMV of about 100. So what are the trends for this common phenomena? The trend is this: when a new character, especially a villain, hits the scene, demand is higher than supply and the price goes way up. Then the villain is defeated and the price plummets. Not always does a first appearance of a new villain hold its value. So just be really careful if there's a new villain on the scene and there's a ton of hype around it before you go dropping big boy bucks on a slab or something like that. We're going to see this time and time again in comics because our heroes and anti-heroes always need a new foe to fight. And so this is something that happens all the time. So just be aware of that before you go run out and buy a ton of copies of a book. Especially beware if the only information you're armed with is that one sentence that came from a news source that says first appearance of so-and-so. If that's all the information you have on that spec, you should get a little more information. At the very least, familiarize yourself with the story. That does wonders for knowing where the arc might go. A lot of savvy people that saw Virus, the first panel, they saw Virus come out, they saw that his suit was taped together with tape, and they thought, something's going on here. This isn't a longevity character. And again, this might not be the end for these characters. 30 years down the road, a new writer might completely retcon the character. Retconning is when they introduce new information which causes you to reinterpret old information so that they can completely switch the plot and account for inconsistencies. They're writing, they're literally creating these stories out of thin air, and you can create a plot twist out of thin air. So stories and characters can be totally retconned, and we might say that in the future. This video is more about the short-term spec and the initial spec of new comic book. Make sure to hit subscribe because I'm going to be dropping another video that shows trends and what to look for in books that have been successful time and time and time again, so we can see if we can predict the next hot book. If you found anything in this video helpful, I would really appreciate a like and a subscribe. And remember, above all else, learn to tame that FOMO. Thanks for stopping by.